Sarah Cumming here with 7 Adelaide's afternoon news. Making news this hour, Hills horror, 3 dead and 2 critical after a sickening crash at a notorious intersection. Renewed calls to scrap the fuel excise as more Adelaide servos run dry. Labor's new look cabinet revealed who's been handed the health poison chalice. Unwelcome news for mortgage holders, why another rate rise could be on the cards. And in a league of its own, the Sandful launches its 2026 season.
Live from Adelaide, this is 7 News.
Good afternoon. A devastating crash in the Adelaide Hills between a car and a cattle truck has left 3 people dead and 2 others fighting for their lives. The car's driver and a passenger remain in a serious condition at the Royal Adelaide Hospital. Mitchell Sariovsky reports.
For years, locals have worried it wasn't a question of if, but when another catastrophic crash would happen here. And yesterday, those fears came true. A mangled wreck in a paddock, the devastating aftermath of a crash that's claimed 3 lives. A cattle truck collided with the Toyota just before 2 p.m. The Camry was packed with people. Locals raced in and started CPR. But for 3 of the 5 occupants, it was too late. They died at the scene. A 27 and 22-year-old woman and a 64-year-old man. The driver, a 73-year-old man, was airlifted to the Royal Adelaide in a critical condition. His son attended the scene this morning. A 4th passenger, a 56-year-old man, is being treated in hospital with serious injuries.
The front seat passenger, he was obviously dead straight away. 2 in the back seat, they performed CPR on them.
The truck driver from the Mid-North was not injured and is assisting police with their investigation. 6 years ago, a 2-month-old baby boy was killed after a crash at the same intersection. Since then, locals say they've been calling for stop signs, but their warnings have gone unheard.
Well, I've been up here 27 years and there's been multiple car accidents and deaths.
A roundabout would be a great idea, lowering the speed limit, or even just something as simple as putting a stop sign in rather than a give way.
Look, I've lost count of the number of accidents over the years.
Police are urging any witnesses who haven't yet spoken to them to get in touch.
With fuel prices in Adelaide still heading north, there are calls this afternoon for the federal government to provide some relief. Independent MP Rebecca Sharkey wants the fuel excise scrapped for 60 days, saving more than 50 cents a litre.
The government could implement this urgent measure today and it would have a very real impact upon every Australian.
Currently, 49 of SA's 700 stations have run dry. A tanker carrying millions of litres of fuel arrived at Outer Harbour overnight. Delivery cancellations and delays have been flagged for next month, but the federal government's confident suppliers will be able to find alternate contracts. Chris Picton has been dumped as Health Minister under a major post-election reshuffle. As Michaela Kamarek reports, the new ministry has been sworn in at Government House, with several new faces already rewarded.
Well, it's a major reset for the Labor government, with key portfolios reshuffled and new faces elevated straight to the front bench. After 4 years leading health, Chris Picton is moved on, having faced controversy during the campaign after his office was caught attempting to discredit a grieving widow. He now takes on Veterans Affairs, State Development and AI, with the Premier rejecting any suggestion it's a demotion. Blair Boyer has been handed the poison chalice of health, inheriting the ongoing battle to fix rapping.
It is daunting, of course, because health is the toughest portfolio in government. And I'll miss education, of course. I put my heart and soul into it, but that's how these things go.
We have moved very quickly to establish a new cabinet, a refreshed and renewed team, to continue the work to build the momentum in South Australia.
Lucy Hood takes on education, Joe Sockarch infrastructure and transport, and Michael Brown is handed police. Newly elected Unley MP Alice Rolls has been fast-tracked into cabinet, tasked with the complex portfolios of child protection and domestic and family violence. In the outer ministry, Lawrence Benn, a former advisor to the Premier and son-in-law to Labor power broker Don Farrell, takes on an assistant role focused on copper, steel and and critical minerals. Now comes the mammoth task of getting ministers across their new portfolios. The Premier insists there's no time for celebration. The work starts now.
Dozens of homes and businesses at Modbury are still without power after a truck smashed into a Stobie pole on North East Road early this morning. Fortunately, the driver wasn't injured when he lost control, bringing down power lines.
It was loud, a tree breaking and then something hitting and then something landing and then the flash afterwards.
Initially, more than 1,300 homes and businesses lost supply. SA Power Networks hopes to have everyone back online by 8 o'clock this evening. Inflation cooled in the month of February, but economists are warning the worst is yet to come for Australian households. As Josh Martin reports, the oil price shock is yet to hit the figures.
Good afternoon. We will see the impact of fuel prices in the data for March, and economists say inflation could soar above 5%. But for the 12 months to February, headline inflation came in at 3.7%, down from 3.8% in January, and underlying inflation held at 3.3%, still above the Reserve Bank's target range. The biggest rises were in rents, food and recreation. The sky-high petrol and diesel prices we are seeing now at the Bowser aren't reflected in the February figures.
We know that the pressure will be upwards from here, and that the war in the Middle East will make inflation higher for longer. The end of this war can't come soon enough for the economy.
So fuel is going to go up more and more, and then you're going to see these businesses, industries, farming, everyone that's going to go under. Then you increase cost for the mums and dads to try and buy their food. It is a crisis.
An interest rate hike is still possible at the next Reserve Bank board meeting in May, but the surging fuel prices could take demand out of the economy, leading some experts to believe the RBA will hold off.
Best guess for mine is that rates don't rise from here. They'll stay stuck for a while. The president of the US and the regime in Iran is going to have a big impact on living standards in Australia.
Jim Chalmers has told business leaders that the economic shock from Iran could be worse than COVID and the global financial crisis. A bumpy road ahead.
Meantime, the price of oil remains in flux this afternoon as mixed signals from Washington and Tehran continue to shock global markets. As Europe correspondent Jacqueline Robson reports, the US president claims a deal could be at hand.
Well, it's been a turbulent couple of days for the oil price, firstly dropping by 14% when Donald Trump announced there were talks happening with Iran. Then it shot back up to over $100 a barrel when Iran denied that these talks were ever happening. The US president was speaking in the White House today, saying that Iran desperately wants to make a deal, that they've been wiped out militarily and that the US has won this war. He has also made a massive claim that Iran has agreed to no longer desire or want to have a nuclear weapon ever. That's one of the big objectives of this war. If that is true, it would be a massive development. He also says they've made concessions on the Strait of Hormuz, offering a gift worth big money.
They're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related.
Now, there has been the suggestion that there could be face-to-face talks between the two countries in Pakistan over the coming days. We're yet to hear any confirmation from Iran on that. It comes as Iran's top military commander has suggested that the forces will keep fighting until there is complete victory. And there has been plenty of fighting across the Middle East today. Israel and Hezbollah trading blows. There has been big Israeli strikes in the southern part of Lebanon, wiping out buildings. And here in Tel Aviv, another Iranian missile was able to sneak past the Iron Dome, smashing into a residential area, destroying apartments, setting cars on fire. And tonight there has been fresh cluster warheads being sent over, causing extensive damage.
Married at First Sight host Mel Schilling has passed away from cancer at the age of 53. Her husband, Gareth Brisbane, shared the news on social media, saying he'd 15 years with his soulmate and it was a privilege to be by her side. Mel had been in remission from colon cancer before the disease spread to her lungs and brain.
I was ignoring the signs for such a long time, and of course this is not unusual. Definitely my energy had dropped, but I was having such incredible gut pain, literally doubled over and shouting in pain.
Tributes are pouring in, her fellow hosts saying, "My heart is shattered and it's not fair that my partner in crime is gone. She was one of the good ones." There has been a major breakthrough in the investigation into the kidnap, torture and murder of an elderly Sydney man. Police allege the 85-year-old was abducted from his home in a case of mistaken identity, and early this morning they arrested a man and a woman. Clementine Cuneo reports.
It was just after 6 a.m. when tactical officers stormed the house and arrested a young couple, one of whom they will allege was the mastermind in the kidnapping and murder plot. That man, 23-year-old Declan Donnelly, was taken to Riverstone Police Station where he was charged with the kidnapping and murder of Mr Bagzarian. His girlfriend, 23-year-old Janessa Thurston, was also arrested, but she has not been charged over the grandfather's death. Police will allege Donnelly was contracted to carry out the kidnapping of an underworld figure's relative and that he recruited others to assist, including 2 men who were charged last month. But on February 13, when Donnelly and 2 accomplices who have not been located went to the North Ryde home, they allegedly got the wrong house and mistakenly abducted innocent Mr Bagzarian. Detectives say there were more involved and more arrests to come.
We believe up to 9 people were involved in this, and we will continue the investigation to identify those that were involved, no matter what part they played.
Neighbours saying the arrests today came as a shock. The pair had only moved in a few weeks ago. Multiple guns, ammunition and drugs were also allegedly found at the house. Donnelly remains here at Riverstone Police Station. He will spend the night in custody and will face Blacktown Local Court tomorrow.
Tropical cyclone Narelle has reformed off Western Australia's north, tracking roughly parallel to the Pilbara coast. It's currently sitting at Category 1 and is expected to reach at least a Category 3 over Carnarvon and Geraldton by this weekend. Perth is now on high alert, likely to experience gale-force winds and up to 100 millimetres of rain by the end of the week. 4 new coaches and a fan-friendly focus off-field marked the launch of the 2026 Sandful season in Rundle Mall today. Themed A League of Our Own, the Sandfuls aiming to build on its reputation as the best state league in Australia. Seven's John Casey was there.
A footy festival fan zone set the scene for what can be expected at Sandful men's and women's games this season. First bounce is Friday night at the Parade, with Norwood hosting reigning premiers Sturt.
It's a great day out for the family at our Sandful clubs, and we know that everyone in South Australia has a connection with our local footy club.
4 clubs have new coaches and start the season with high expectations. 5 different premiers in the last 8 years fuels their optimism.
North has always been my club. I supported them as a junior. My dad and uncle played there. I played there, and now my boys play there. So it almost feels like I'm coming home.
In the end, it's footy. You know, it's hard to stay away. It's a very enjoyable role, and coaching in particular. You know, it's probably the most rewarding thing I've done. So back doing it.
Having triumphed last September, the Double Blues are the measuring stick.
Our philosophy hasn't changed from last year. It's about just keep improving each week, and pre-season's been really good and we've got a lot better, and we've had our 3 trials now and we're looking forward to round 1.
The Sandful women's competition enters its 10th season. The state team will play against Victoria as part of a unique double-header during Gather Round.
I can't get any more South Australian than I am, and you know, like it's one of those things. Last year stung a little. We got the win against WA, which was a great game at Adelaide Oval, but you know, like the Vics and WA, we want to tick both boxes.
The 2026 season also marks the 50th anniversary of the first Sandful Grand Final broadcast on Channel 7.
The ABC has been forced to pull bulletins and air reruns after its staff walked off the job. Up next, their fight for a better pay deal. Plus, inside NASA's bold plan to build a permanent base on the moon. Swimming legend Ariarne Titmus back to where it all began ahead of the Com Games. And later, could Celine Dion be making a stage comeback? Adelaide ABC workers have joined thousands of colleagues around the country for the first time in 20 years to walk off the job to fight for better pay and work conditions. The strike will mean there'll be no 7 p.m. bulletin and certain programs will be replaced with old reruns.
This is a 24-hour stoppage. We certainly hope that management come to the table with an improved offer so that our members are not having to take action again.
About 60% of ABC staff have rejected management's offer that included a 10% pay rise across 3 years. NASA is eyeing a triumphant return to the moon, announcing ambitious plans to set up a $30 billion lunar base. Rob Scott has the details.
After years of talking about it, NASA now appears to be getting serious about setting up a base on the moon. Almost 60 years after Neil Armstrong walked on the lunar surface, NASA wants to take one giant leap further.
This time, the goal is not flags and footprints. This time, the goal is to stay.
Jared Isaacman, the new Space Administration chief, outlining plans today for the first human outpost beyond Earth.
NASA once changed everything, and we're going to do it again.
But to build the lunar base, work on Gateway, a small space station that NASA had planned to launch into lunar orbit, will be suspended. The components, expertise and the funds that were destined for that project will now instead be directed to the moon base, which will be built in stages.
We will invest approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years and build it through dozens of missions, working together with commercial and international partners towards a deliberate and achievable plan.
The announcement comes about a week before the launch of NASA's Artemis II mission, sending astronauts around the moon and back for the first time since 1972. And if setting humanity up for life on the moon isn't adventurous enough, Isaacman also today unveiled plans for a nuclear-powered spacecraft to Mars by the end of...
An accused bank robber is in custody after nearly 30 years on the run. Alexander Robert McDonald allegedly held a woman hostage armed with a shotgun while robbing a New South Wales bank in 1996. The following year, he allegedly committed a similar robbery on the state's mid-north coast. The now 76-year-old was arrested in Queensland on Monday and extradited to New South Wales. He appeared in court today and was denied bail. As we count down to the Commonwealth Games, the King's Baton Relay is making its final Australian stop this afternoon in Tasmania. Swimming legend Ariarne Titmus going back to where it all began at the Launceston pool where she trained. Xander Maguire is there.
She's won 7 Commonwealth Games gold medals and claimed 4 Olympic titles. Today, Ariarne Titmus was back at the pool where it all started. Carrying the Com Games baton as a part of the King's Baton Relay, she brought it back to the Ariarne Titmus pool, the very place where her swimming dream and career started and where she's inspiring hundreds more. For years, these aspiring Tasmanian swimmers looked to Arnie's mural on the wall. Today, many were in disbelief that they had the opportunity to meet her in the flesh.
It is really full circle. I mean, I started swimming here when I was 10 years old, and every little kid probably has a dream of winning gold medals and representing your country at a meet like the Commonwealth Games. And so to see my name up there and the mural, it is still pinch yourself stuff. You can have a career and do everything you ever dreamt of, but it still sometimes doesn't feel real. And I just feel very proud and very honoured that my hometown still really embraces me and supports me. And I'll always make it known that I'm Tasmanian and I'm from Launceston. Doesn't matter where you live, I grew up here, I'm born and bred, and I always try to tell people that.
Ariarne Titmus transcends celebrity status here in Tassie, and the old saying of never meet your heroes certainly doesn't apply to her. She spent hours chatting with aspiring swimmers, giving them advice and talking to adoring fans. She really is the embodiment of the spirit of the Commonwealth Games, which of course are only 120 days away in Glasgow.
She is so well loved. Well, time for a look at what else is happening in sport. Tom joins us now for a quick check. Now, the Crows' injury woes continue.
Yeah, it's brutal, Sarah. Over 900 games of experience is out for tomorrow night's Cats clash, headlined by the skipper Jordan Dawson. Coach Matthew Nicks tells us how they can fill the massive void. And out-of-contract superstar Zach Butters will take the captaincy reins from Connor Rosie in his injury absence. Power coach Josh Carr, what type of leader he'll be over the next 3 months. All that coming up a little later, Sarah.
Thank you, Tom. We'll see you soon. Some sporting high flyers have taken their fight for life-saving help all the way to Canberra. That story's next. Plus, Celine Dion teases a possible return to the stage. And later, the Click Frenzy race to bag the best holiday bargains. A high-profile delegation from Myeloma Australia is in Canberra today, appealing for funds to find a cure for the insidious disease. Among them, sports broadcasting legend and myeloma patient Sandy Roberts, who concedes there's still a long battle ahead. Nick McCallum has the latest.
Myeloma patients and doctors went to Canberra to plead with politicians and bureaucrats to take the incurable blood cancer more seriously. During his meeting with them, Health Minister Mark Butler announced a revolutionary medicine, L-Rexfio, will next month be put on the PBS for some advanced myeloma patients,
which we think will save around 300 patients $5,000 a script.
A welcome breakthrough, but still,
we want to realise the real benefit of this technology and other related technologies. We need to bring it much earlier in the treatment path for patients.
Myeloma Australia also released a report stating the disease costs Australia over $7.1 billion a year in health and wellbeing expenses and lost productivity, and claiming $132 million from government over 5 years for research and treatment would save $1.5 billion over the same period.
That would be a no-brainer in terms of an investment. So we're here to talk about an investment in the cure processes.
Awesome foursome rowing legend Nick Green also in Canberra. His wife Taimi has been battling the disease for 10 years.
It's now time for the wider community to be aware of it, because it does have a significant impact on families and communities, and there is a significant cost.
It's a very, very tough market at the moment, Nick, and there are so many charities and so many deserving charities, it does really stretch the dollar, but all we can do is keep tapping away and hopefully things will turn.
Myeloma Australia describes this as a more aggressive approach to government for funding for a cure for this insidious disease.
If you are prone to having a sleep in, it could be saving your life. Research has found dozing off for an extra 11 minutes is just enough to reduce the risk of heart attacks. Other changes to habits include eating vegetables with dinner or walking daily, were also found to cut risks to heart problems by 10%. Beloved singer Celine Dion has teased fans with a potential comeback tour. It would be the French-Canadian singer's first return to stage since the Paris Olympics and the first tour since her Courage World Tour was cancelled during COVID. Sarah Jane Bell reports.
Proof once more that Celine Dion's love for performing will go on and on. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but it does appear that the singer might be preparing for a comeback even as soon as September. There's been cryptic clues popping up around the city in Paris. In fact, signs with the titles of some of her songs, including The Power of Love and My Heart Will Go On. The famous singer has also posted on Instagram an array of photos of her in the city of love throughout her life with the caption, "I don't know how to tell you." We are hearing that it might be as soon as the end of this month that this comeback concert is announced, in fact, on her 58th birthday. The last time we saw her perform was, of course, actually at the Paris Olympics on the Eiffel Tower, and it was incredible. So it would be fitting if the comeback was there. Her last tour was postponed during COVID and then actually cancelled as she dealt with stiff person syndrome. So again, this has been something that fans fans have been looking forward to for a very long time, and something that she herself has in fact pointed to in the past.
Time now for a quick check of your weather. In Casey, you're tracking a cool change.
Well, Sarah, the winds certainly have shifted to a cooler southwesterly, but the cold air itself is still lagging behind a bit. And, well, there's still some warm sunshine about at the moment too. In the regions, though, we have seen some really unique cloud formations today. In the thunderstorms over the mid-north and Riverland, we've seen associated shelf clouds, otherwise known as arcas, which can signal strong and gusty winds. And there was a gust of 50 k's an hour recorded at Loxton this morning. Also, quite a rare cloud at the front there, a roll cloud, often resembling a tidal wave. Now, it looks dramatic, but is a harmless formation. Here we are starting to see some cloud cover move over Adelaide, and I'll be back with a closer look at tomorrow's forecast shortly.
Thank you, Casey. We'll have your latest finance news from ING right after the break. Plus, food for thought, how a simple task in the kitchen could help reduce your risk of dementia. And Trading Blows, the incredible new footage giving a rare insight into our deep sea giants. Now let's check in with Rosanna on what's coming up at 6.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Coming up tonight, the shock and devastation after the death of 3 people in a Horror Hills crash. The tragedy prompting renewed calls for safety upgrades at the notorious intersection. Also, much needed fuel supplies arrive in Adelaide as more servos run dry and diesel prices set a new record. But on the upside, how the crisis could actually be a blessing for mortgage holders. We'll break it all down at 6 with a closer look at the latest inflation figures. Also outsmarting Adelaide's high-tech car thieves, how they're easily gaining access to our homes and the simple steps you can take to stop them in their tracks. We'll bring you those stories and, of course, so much more tonight at 6, Sarah.
Thank you, Rosanna. Although the Middle East crisis has disrupted travel plans, there are still hopes of a cheap holiday with a Click Frenzy sale starting tonight. It will offer deals on flights, accommodation and day trips.
Get yourself up in a balloon. That is one way to take your mind off things. So Liberty Balloons, $40 off hot air balloon flights, and you can take some fantastic pictures up there and no one can stress you out up in the sky.
The sale starts from 7 o'clock tonight. The local share market has extended its rebound, helped by a new hope over a possible peace deal in the Middle East and the latest inflation figures. Here's James Tao from ING Bank.
Good afternoon. The Aussie market has rallied for a second day in a row, with investors holding on to hopes of de-escalation in the Middle East conflict. The ASX 200 jumped about 155 points, or roughly 1.9%, marking its strongest performance in 6 weeks. Today's gains were fairly broad-based and led by the materials sector, especially gold miners, after the price of the precious metal snapped a 9-day losing streak. Local gold producers surged, with names such as Bellevue Gold lifting roughly 11%. Meanwhile, the energy sector was the only major laggard, as local oil and gas stocks dominated the losers column. Oil prices fell about 4 to 5%, with Brent crude back below that $100 per barrel mark. And the other key development for the day was the February monthly inflation numbers that came through, slightly softer than many economists expected, though still well above the RBA's comfort zone. The release did help support the share market, but did see the Aussie dollar slip. Markets are now easing their expectations of about a 60% chance of another RBA rate hike at the upcoming May meeting. And the Aussie dollar is buying about 69.7 US cents.
Thank you, James. Older people who cook a meal from scratch at least once a week could be protecting themselves from dementia. A new study out of Japan has found that home cooking is linked to a 30% lower risk of cognitive decline. And in good news for bad cooks, the benefits are even higher for those who are unskilled in the kitchen, with risk reduced by 70%. But researchers from the Institute of Science in Tokyo say it's unclear if the link would apply outside of Japanese food. Well, it is the kind of clash once fabled in Moby Dick, but now it's been caught on camera. Incredible new drone footage shows sperm whales colliding head-on, shedding light on the behaviour of the mysterious deep-sea giants.
Legend and science rarely collide, but here in the Azores, they're crashing into each other with immense power. Scientists believe that in the largest sperm whales, blows like this could deliver up to 1,200 kilonewtons of force, roughly equivalent to the weight of 20 African elephants hitting all at once, bang on the head. Until now, only fictional sperm whales acted like this, most famously in Moby Dick, inspired by the 1820 sinking of the Essex whaling ship and reflecting contemporary fears.
While ultimately Europeans and Americans were hunting whales, they were actually terrified of them. You know, the popular press portrayed whales as monsters.
Battles with whalers are one thing, but this footage suggests whales fight among themselves too. Thousands of kilometres away in the Balearics, researchers observed 2 adolescent males surround a smaller female, ramming and rolling into each other, then striking her before she leaves the group against a soundtrack of clicking and buzzing, hints of complex communication, which could indicate sexual competition or simple play fighting.
Play in younger animals can mirror a more strongly antagonistic or competitive behaviour that will be then performed as adults. It really underscores how mysterious these animals are.
Mysteries once hidden from human eyes, but that drone footage gives us a new perspective on. An unprecedented insight into the lives of sperm whales, but this study only captured adolescents, and adults may behave differently. For now, the ocean still keeps many of this species' secrets.
Memorabilia from the world of rock and heavy metal is going under the hammer. Among the stage-worn costumes and instruments for sale is a guitar belonging to the late lead guitarist for Kiss, Ace Frehley. The 1974 Gibson Les Paul is set to fetch up to $800,000. Well, time for sport now, and Tom, power superstar Zach Butters will fill in for Connor Rosie.
That's right, Sarah. With Rosie out for up to 3 months with a serious hamstring injury, Butters gets his chance to lead the team, which is going to add some further intrigue in his contract year. Also coming up, the injury woes continue for the Crows with another big name ruled out for tomorrow night's Cats clash. And could it be spin to win in the Sheffield Shield final? We catch up with skipper Nathan McSweeney. Hello again. The Crows will be without 4 of their most experienced players for tomorrow night's clash in Geelong. Jordan Dawson headlines the list of players who failed to make the trip. The skipper's been ruled out with a calf issue.
There's a few around the league at the moment. This seems to be a bit of a trend. You know, teams are struggling at the moment to keep players. I reckon the games, I mean, we're obviously looking through why. Game seems to have been a little faster, changed a bit. We're on a pretty tough schedule at the moment, which is one that we want. You know, big games, Fridays and Thursday nights and so on, but we're getting some 6 days in that.
Nick's also confirmed that a short turnaround means Taylor Walker won't play. The 35-year-old will be rested and joins veterans Calamachi and Rory Laird on the sidelines.
So we'll take over a really young, enthusiastic team, play against a really experienced, quality side. But I think that's exciting in itself. We're going to go over and have a real crack.
Informed defender Josh Worrell has shrugged off his calf concern and will play. Former Rooi Finbar Maley is making his club debut. Well, Geelong coach Chris Scott is a big advocate of the injury-hit Crows' strength in depth
those
as any.
Have been building for quite a while. They've put together a pretty formidable group of players, and I would imagine that their high expectations are well founded.
The Cats haven't lost at home to the Crows in 23 years. They'll start as warm favourites, even without injured skipper Patrick Dangerfield. Well, out-of-contract superstar Zach Butters will captain the Power for the next 3 months, with Connor Rosie sidelined with a serious hamstring injury. Known to lead with his footy, coach Josh Carr says Butters' other leadership qualities have grown over the off-season.
I think it's a way that he can drag a few teammates along with him. Like he drags his teammates through actions, but how can he have those conversations with teammates in game to get more out of those individuals? His improvement in his leadership just this year has been amazing, and we've been wrapped with his willingness to receive feedback, to get better. It now presents an opportunity for him to keep developing that.
Jason Horne-Francis's midfield time will go up again against West Coast on Sunday, setting the stage for another mouth-watering matchup with fellow number 1 pick Harley Reid.
Hope so. I think that's exciting for everyone out there. I think we enjoyed that contest last year. Seeing the players like that love a contest, going at each other. How good's that for footy?
So good. Brownlow medalist Ollie Wines is free to play after serving his suspension. We'll hear from Coach Carr on whether he'll come straight back in at 6. New Glenelg coach Matthew Clark faces a tough first-up test on his return to the Sandful when the Tigers travel to Alberton to take on Port Adelaide.
We've had a transition of sort of 7 or 8 players out. Sometimes that can mean a period of not so much success, but I'm really looking forward to that challenge. Hopefully we can get up to the level really quickly and then see if we can get competitive and get right up to the pointy end as quickly as possible.
You can watch Glenelg and Port Adelaide's season opener live and free on 7 Mate from 4 p.m. Saturday. Norwood host Premiers Sturt on Friday night. The Redlegs and Coopers saying cheers to an 80-year partnership. Norwood legend Gary McIntosh hitting all the right notes. Well, Adelaide 36ers co-captain DJ Vasiljevic has denied there's tension between him and Sixers coach Mike Wells ahead of Game 2 of the NBL Championship Series against the Kings at home on Friday night. Vasiljevic publicly criticised his coach after giving a tech foul away in Adelaide's semi-final.
I've been part of the media now, and when I get asked a question, it's honesty and it's holding each other accountable. It doesn't matter if it's me, if it's Mike, if it's our team manager Jazzy. Like, we're all in this together. Like, if we hold everyone accountable, that's the only way we're going to get better.
Adelaide trails 1-0 in the best of 5 game series. Well, South Australia will wait until tomorrow morning before confirming its 11 for the Sheffield Shield final against Victoria. Lloyd Pope is an outside chance of a recall, who has been playing a role at Junction Oval during the final round draw between the two sides.
We'll just wait and see what happens to that training, see the wicket. But yeah, we're pretty confident what we've been going through all year, and we'll quickly head over before it gets covered. So, but nice little hit out here last week, and we've played really good cricket here over the last couple of years. So we're just really excited and yeah, happy to take on whatever comes up.
The Shield final gets underway at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Well, he hadn't set foot in Australia until this week, but going to the World Cup as a Socceroo is now a very real possibility for Ante Suto. A striker for Scottish side Hibernian, Suto is one of the bolters in the squad for the friendlies against Cameroon and Curacao. Born in Croatia, Suto is eligible to play for Australia through his father Anthony, who's from Melbourne, and he loves his Vegemite.
He's been bringing that home since I was a kid, and I don't like it, to be fair, yeah. I know all the stuff about Australia, I know about the weather, I know about the spiders and all that.
The Aussies take on Cameroon in Sydney on Friday night. It is always a baptism of fire, Vegemite, isn't it?
It was pretty clear he doesn't like it.
Very, very clear.
It's a hard no.
Yeah. We'll have all the team news for the Crows clash tomorrow night, the final teams, and hear more from Matthew Nix.
It's a blockbuster. Thank you, Tom. We have a cool change and even some showers on the way tomorrow. Stay with us. Casey is back with the latest weather forecast next. Time for the weather now, and Casey, winds are starting to pick up along the coast.
Yeah, they are, Sarah, and the wind strength is set to pick up tomorrow with a coastal wind warning in place for Adelaide and many coastal areas across the state. Behind these winds, there is some cooler temperatures on the way. Today in the city, though, we reached a top of 28 degrees, and that was actually before midday, and it's when we saw that southwesterly wind change come through. A warm night, though, only getting as low as 19, currently 25 degrees in the city now. Elsewhere around the country, clear skies and 25 in Sydney. Melbourne has had a few showers, dry now, currently 27, 21 in Hobart. Perth, sunny and 26 now, but Perth is potentially in the firing line over the next few days, especially on Saturday as we track tropical cyclone Narelle down the WA coast. Over SA, though, a broad trough lies over us with a cold front to clip the southeast tomorrow as a high starts to build south of the Bight. Mostly dry skies in the far north tomorrow, up to 31 for Cooper Pedy. Now, we could see a continuation of possible storms about the Pastoral and Flinders districts, contracting though to the northeast later in the day. Showers too about the agricultural area and south of the Pastoral districts, with winds picking up too. For Port Augusta, a morning shower or two, windy with a top of 23, a shower or two and 24 for Port Pirie, shower or two and 22 for Renmark, partly cloudy and 22 for Kadina, a possible shower and 20 for Port Lincoln, a shower or two and becoming windy for Victor Harbor, Harbour, 18 the top there. A cold day in the southeast, those showers, and just 15 the top for Mount Gambier. Flood warnings continue for inland rivers about the state's far north, and strong winds, as we mentioned, are forecast across a wide range of coastal areas, including on metro waters. For the city, a cooler night's in store, down to 15, possible shower tomorrow and a top of 20. So with this cooler weather, Sarah, it might be time to check out those wood fire piles are stocked up and ready to go.
Already, okay. Thank you, Casey. And that is all from 7 Adelaide's afternoon news team. Will and Rosanna will have our next bulletin for you at 6. Bye for now.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app.